I personally have been like in this space as a consumer, and also as somebody who's like has offerings, and I'm like offering services to people. And also I've lived now in two different types of communities that are like spiritual healing communities. Something I wanted to talk about that I think is like very fair and important to say is that not everyone in these spaces is like operating from a good space. I will say that probably everyone that got into like coaching or spirituality or like alternative healing spaces, like pretty much everybody that got into this type of work, for the most part, like they got into it with good intention. They wanted to help people. Maybe they had an experience of their own that was really transformative. But I will say that a lot of this industry, and it is an industry just like any other type of industry, whether it be real estate or transport or oil, like the self-help spiritual like industry is an industry. And I will say that a lot of people that are in this space that are trying to serve others are not equipped to be serving others. And there's like several different reasons why, in my opinion and in my understanding. One of those reasons why is because they're operating from like an ego standpoint. Like they think that they can heal people, that they think that they can give somebody something that that's just gonna like change their life. And again, maybe that's coming from a good headspace, but also I think once you start maybe following these types of people, or like you start interacting with these types of people, a lot of these like coaches, spiritual gurus, like facilitators, a lot of them are coming from like a very ego standpoint, that they know better, they're higher than, they're more enlightened than you. And I just think that that's something that's really important to look out for before you do hire a coach, or before you start working with a healer, or if you're about to go on a retreat of some sort. Like, try to tap into where is this person coming from that I'm about to put like my trust in emotionally, or like my financial resources. Like, are they coming from a ego headspace, or are they coming from like a pure wanting to be of service headspace? That's something that's like really, really important to make note of. I think eventually, like once some of these people are coming from an ego headspace, it's very easy for them to transition into it being about financial gain. And that's kind of a very scary situation to be in as a consumer, as somebody who seeks, desires change or help, is that oftentimes we, and like I say we because I've been in that position, like we're vulnerable. We're in a vulnerable situation. We may be like desperately dealing with mental health issues, or desperately dealing with trauma, or maybe we have a physical issue that we're trying to heal. And a lot of times what comes with like ego also like comes with this other piece of eventually like you start to come out like needing, like not needing, you start to come from like a financial space instead of like a heart space wanting to help. Obviously there is a money exchange in pretty much all of these circumstances, because if somebody is pouring in their energy to you, like they need to be getting energy back, which is typically through like financial resources. A lot of these people do this stuff for to survive, to make income, which is totally fine. But I think that something that's happened with like the self-help, the coaching, the facilitator, spirituality industry is that a lot of people so desperately like wanted to help people. They gained an ego once they like were able to help themselves, and then their ego made them feel as if they financially can charge anything and everything, which is just really not fair. Or not fair, but it's not a good space to be coming from. I think that if you truly feel called to serving others, your objective is not raising your pricing every time you get a third client, or it's not pricing out the majority of like the demographic, like the world. It's, you see some of these like super high dollar coaches and they're charging like $25,000 for their coaching services. And at that point in time, I'm like, okay, do you only want to serve somebody who can like afford that, or like do you really have a passion for serving? And those questions kind of start to come up for me, and I've just realized that just like everything else, like every other industry, the spirituality, self-help, healing, alternative medicine stuff, like although again, like most people got into this with very good intention, with a good heart, with like a passion to serve, but also I think somewhere down the line, like people's egos and like financial gain get like all mixed in, and that's just a very dangerous place to be in as a consumer and as somebody who's like trying to be a facilitator, trying to be a healer of some sort. Like it's not like, I wouldn't say that those people intentionally try to go out and just like be this dark cloud of like greed and ego. I wouldn't say that, but I just think that it's easy to fall into that environment, which leads me into my third point and third thing to even think about with these like spirituality healing communities is a lot of these facilitators are not, they're not in a place to be serving. Like, let's be real. Most of us that got into like a spiritual journey, a self-help journey, a healing journey, most of us got into this because we had our own like journeys, our own problems. Like there was something that came up that like we decided we needed a change. And I think a lot of people can go to a retreat or maybe they like take a course and now they're like, oh, I'm a coach. I can hold space for people. I can carry the burden of somebody else's like traumas or triggers, or I can do that now that I've done a course, or now that I've been on this spiritual journey for like 6 months or a year, like now I can do it. And I think again, like a lot of times that's coming from like an ego headspace, and we are like thinking that, oh, now I'm enlightened and now I can help. And I think that again, all of these three things that I'm talking about that I'm seeing a lot in the spiritual, like self-help healing industry, all of the stuff like I feel is coming from like a good place, but I think that it's just something to take note on whenever you are somebody who's looking for healing, is that you also have like these factors to consider before you're hiring a coach or hiring a facilitator or hiring a healer. Like you need to be looking at these three things to see like, where is this person coming from? Do I feel like a good energy with them? Do I feel like they have like the longevity and the experience in their own healing journey to be a facilitator at this point in their like life? Do I feel like their pricing is coming from a place of wanting to be an equal energy exchange and not a place of just wanting to like extract large amounts of money out of desperate people? And then also on the ego standpoint, like, do I feel energetically that this person is coming from a good space and they're not coming from just an ego of like being better than, higher than, more enlightened than? I think these are three things that are really important to consider whenever you're trying to potentially work with somebody. Because I do think that these retreats, these coaches, facilitators, like all of these things can have very great impact on you and on your journey. But I will say though that there are a lot of people that are out there that are just not in a position to be being a facilitator just yet. And so I think that that's just something I wanted to talk about, and I think it's really important because I know me personally, I've been on all sides of this. I have been somebody who was in desperate need. I have been somebody who gained an ego and was like, I can help people now. I have been somebody who maybe wasn't really like on a, wasn't like maybe ready to be a coach or a facilitator. Like I've also been in like the financial like headspace of like, okay, I want to make money through this and all of that. So like I've been on the ends of being like a consumer and also somebody on like the other side of like maybe putting their foot into different categories that maybe it's just like you're not ready for yet. So I wanted to touch base and like be cold, honest truth on this, because I think that it's something that really needs to be talked about, that just a lot of people are desperate for change, and they are willing to spend resources, like financial resources. They're willing to spend time with people, and sometimes these people that are desperate, they end up crossing paths with maybe somebody that they shouldn't be like partnering with their healing journey. So these are just things that I wanted to talk about and touch on, because I just think it's really important. If you personally are on some sort of like your own healing journey, I just want to say that I think it's super important for you to know that we are our own healers. Everything that we need is within inside of us, like point blank, period. That is it. The thing is that sometimes you do come across people that may be further along the journey than you are, and maybe they have like a flashlight that they can point you down the direction that you need to go, or maybe they can provide you some tools that maybe you haven't gained yet. But as far as becoming dependent on any specific type of healer, or on any type of coach, or like spending every single last dollar that you have to go to some retreat, like these are not the answers to our struggles, our suffering, our problems. Like these aren't the answers to that. Like we are our own healers, and we have to trust our journey, trust our intuition, our inner knowing. And sometimes you come across things, people that you don't need to feel desperate to attend a retreat or feel desperate to work with a certain coach. Like if everything is supposed to work out and your journey has aligned you with that specific retreat or that specific coach, like it will work out. But as far as like becoming dependent and desperate to work with somebody, you are your own healer, and that's all that I can say. And I think that the right people, that the right coaches, facilitators, retreats, the right people will tell you that. They will say, like, you don't need this is gonna be a tool, but you are your own healer, and that is simply it. So I just wanted to make a video about this. If you can resonate with this video at all, if you have felt any of these things, like whether it be the person that was like desperate for change, maybe the person coming from an ego standpoint, maybe somebody who wasn't ready to be like serving others, or maybe somebody who was just got caught up in like the financial gain of the spiritual world, comment below, because I want to know. This is a real topic. This is something that's like, this is really going on. So I'll see you guys in the next video.